Hey YouTubers, welcome back. Okay, so I wanted to put up a quick video here because I am beside myself for the past almost 48 hours now. Anybody who's emailed me and or has a reading on their way to them, don't fret, I'm getting back to you. I just need to tell you guys something. So I can't even begin to tell you what this has to do with my own child here has finally been able to face and tell me because he has been in fear of telling me. And I tell you guys about corruption all the time, right? And I'm the one that's always like talking about conspiracy theories and how, you know, they're real. They're just, there's holes missing. Which is truth, right? So I've been conspired against for 3 years now with the other caregiver. And knowing this person in relation to how I was treated in a very unscrupulous way, mentally, emotionally, and physically, you know, he's been more or less able to do whatever he wants because he's got a lot of this, right? And I always say that it's not about who you know, it's what you know. Or not about what you know, it's who you know. That's the truth. Because I always say documents, wipe your ass with them. Because seriously, my documents, my proof, my truth, that is also not just considered to be hearsay because I can literally show you proof of what type of individual this is. More or less, they'll just spin it and flip it and turn it into whatever they want to for their benefit because they have a lot of this and they know those people will take that money and favor them over the truth. And you talk about what's in the best interest for the child. That's a bunch of bullshit too. So I'm the type of person that would never in their life hold a child away from the other parent because I find that to be detrimental to the child. If you have a problem with the person, that's completely separate than the relationship with the child, okay? So that's that third party crap. It's like the third party doesn't have anything to do with you and another individual because unless they involve themselves, well, this is like an involvement that is outside of their control, right? So I can't, I'm going to say it, but I mean, I just am beside myself because I feel sick to my stomach because I have to protect yet this system that has been created in order to do what? Have other people make judgments on what's for the best interest of the child based off of who knows what because it's so corrupt. The system is so corrupt. I'm telling you. When I tell you conspired against, the things that were done to me by this person with the use of the system, I can't, I'm not even going to get into all of it because it's neither here nor there at this point, but it's one of those things where it's like unbelievable, but believable because I went through it. That's why I say the whole freaking system needs to be burnt to the ground and rebuilt from the bottom up because it's the whole system, you know? And do you get to the core problem? Well, the core problem has, you know, multiplied throughout. And I spoke to an older gentleman who is like, you know, like a guard, like on that end of the spectrum. And I felt comfortable enough to ask him, like, hey, is there anybody here that you know that I can speak to that is trustworthy? And he said, and it was hard for him to say, but he kind of looked at me and he said, unfortunately, the whole system's corrupt. I was like, okay, this is coming from an older gentleman who's been in it his whole entire life and has watched it turn into what it really is, right? So my son, the other night, and this is the second time now in 3 weeks where his dad called me at like 9 o'clock at night and said, he's saying he doesn't feel good. He's crying. He wants his mom, you know, are you home? Can I bring him? I'm like, yeah, of course. So then the next day, he's supposed to go with his dad and he doesn't want to go. And he's like, I want to come back here. And I said, well, you have to tell him that you want to come back. I said, but there's something wrong. You need to tell me. I said, because if I don't know what the core problem is, there's nothing I can do about it. I don't have anything to go off of. I said, you can't just not go to your dad's because you don't want to. I said, because then that's a reflection in their eyes is like alienation. Just because one parent's house has more things than another child's, house at the other parent's house could have. Like, that's not relevant. And I understand that. But the thing is that, like, I would never do that and I never have. So his father comes yesterday to get him. And he's like, I'm trying to give him his one bag. And he's like, just leave it here. I'm coming back. I said, okay. And 2 minutes later, he's back at the door. And he says, he won't bring me back. He said he's not my taxi driver. This is what his father says to him. He's not his taxi driver. I'm like thinking to myself, no, he's not your taxi driver. He's your father. So I said, what? And he goes, I don't want to go with him. I'm not going. And I was like, okay. So I opened the front door and I said, I don't know what the problem is with you two, because he at this point did not tell me. I said, but he doesn't want to go with you. I don't know what to do. And he's like, well, he won't tell me what his problem is with me and why he doesn't want to go or whatever. And I said, that's not my problem. I said, do you understand that's not my problem? I said, I don't know why. I said, but he doesn't want to tell you why. I said, so that's not, I said, this is your problem because this is your relationship with him. I said, I don't know what to do. I'm being put in the middle now, right? I said, you told him you're not his taxi driver? I said, you need to get it together. I said, you're a freaking narcissist sociopath and you need to get it together. Yes, I did. I called it right to his face. A spade's a spade, right? A spade's, call it like you see it, okay? Let's be real here. If you call someone a narcissist or that, then you're somebody who, they say, oh, who are you to make that judgment call? And then they say that you have the mental condition. I'm like, listen, it's not, I don't. I know very well that I do not. I was manipulated by it, but I know that I'm not like that because I give him choices. And that's what I said to him. I said, he does have a choice. I said, and he's choosing not to go with you, and I don't know why. So I said, I'm not holding him against his will. I said, I never have done that before, have I? I said, why would I do that now? So I opened the door up wider and I said, it's his choice. I was like, do you want to go with him or not? I said, I don't know what's going on. And he said, no, I don't want to go with you. And he goes, fine, whatever, his dad does, and like storms off in his car. Okay. Now, he is 40 years old, okay? And this is how he's acting. Let's be real here, okay? So my son finally tells me the reason he doesn't want to go, and it took a very good amount of time to get it out of him, where I was doing a technique with him where, he could clap once for yes, two for no. And I just started asking a bunch of questions, started to get to the core of it, and then finally he opened up and told me, because this is something that I would never guess in my life. His father has another child, and this is his girlfriend, live-in. Apparently she's been hitting my son in the head, cracking him in the head. Homework, he said, and also something with the kitchen sink, like him using water to like flush out his mouth or something. Just weird, right? What is that? Why does that even matter? Why is that? So he tells me that. She says, well, that's what my parents used to do to me when I was a kid. I'm like this. I'm like, okay, so keep passing it along. Talking about systems recycling themselves. So then he elaborates even more, because about a couple weeks ago, I got a phone call on a Sunday morning where he locked himself in his bedroom and was screaming for me. And his dad finally called me and he's like, I don't know why he's acting like this. Will you please talk to him, because he won't talk to us, blah, blah, blah. I said, of course I'll talk to him. I told you before, if there's a problem, to tell him to call me. Because, see, this is the thing. Me and my son, we have a good relationship. Like, we talk shit out. I don't crack him in the head or do things to him to make him fear me. I'm the complete opposite. I'm like, you don't fear anyone and you need to speak your truth. If we got a problem, we're going to talk it out. We're not going to, demean each other and yell at each other and call each other names or hit each other. That's crazy. So, lead by example, right? So, that day, he was answering me in yes and no answers. And that was due to the fact that his father was standing right there, and I knew he was. And he admitted this to me later, that that's the reason why he couldn't talk. But what had happened is that apparently they are, you know, doing things, and he can hear them, which is so disgusting I can't even talk about it. And apparently he threw a fit that morning about it, and he went downstairs, and I guess she was still upstairs, and he got into an argument with his dad about it. He ran up the stairs, and she must have grabbed him when he got to the top of the stairs because he was running to his room, and she pinned him onto the floor by grabbing him at the bottom of his throat, he said, and his stomach, and she was holding him on the floor, and he said he was trying to kick out, and she wouldn't let him go until his dad finally said, just let him go to his room. Now, this apparently isn't the first time this has happened either. So now I'm dealing with this, and I just am completely beside myself because I called the office that you would call in my area. They take the information down and then tell me that because there's a court order, child custody court order, that because it's been signed off by a judge, that they more or less may not be able to investigate it. Now, you freaking tell me, what kind of shit is that? What kind of shit is that? So, lo and behold, the person that I'm living with, who is a friend of mine, and the only reason I'm living with him is because I told you, when I tell you that I've been through some shit and he's been paying people to screw with me, I'm here for protection for the time being. Okay? That's why we live here. No other reason. So, I was like, I can't even believe that this is what I'm being told. Well, lo and behold, the person that I do live with, his uncle is on the children and youth board for the legislator. Like, he is the one that they do the laws and stuff. So I told him about it. He gave me a different number to call and basically told me that if he doesn't want to go with him, he doesn't have to. But you do have a custody order in place, so the only way he would be able to come and actually take the child against, his will, because he can blame you and say you're not allowing him to go, he said, is to bring an enforcement officer, where then the child, my son, could tell the enforcement officer why he doesn't want to go, and he goes, and then we have that right then and there. So I'm completely beside myself because he tells me that he's coming here in a little while to get him, and that I need to work with him because he doesn't know why, and he needs to talk to him or whatever. And my son is like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And I'm like, you don't have to go. And why in the world would I make him go? Right? But I'm also not the parent that's, saying you can't go, or I don't want you going to your dad's, or making up and feeding him lies. That's the thing, is my kid is an empath, big style. And his little sister gets treated like a queen, and he gets treated like the redheaded stepchild because, it's not her kid. And the funny thing is that this is narcissistic behavior to the extent of he won't do anything to him. He's not doing it, but he's allowing the other person to do it. To do what? To put fear in him. Well, now I told him, I said, it took a lot of courage for you to finally tell me. And he's crying. I started crying, and I said, why didn't you tell me this earlier? I could have done something about this before. And he's like, because I was afraid. I was afraid that if I told you, I would get into more trouble. This is the problem, guys. This is a problem. So I'm telling you guys right now, if you're being guided to be in law enforcement, if you're being guided to work in the system with children, I can't express to you enough to go and do it. Do not fear anything, because the whole entire system needs to be burnt to the ground. And I'm going to tell you this right now, I will not be quiet. And I already told my one friend, I said, I'll go down to the damn news station. Yes, I most certainly will, because I'm sick of this shit. My reputation, my name has been muddied by this person, and people are starting to really see it for what it is. My close friends know better. My family knows better, except for the one other narcissist. But the thing is that when people try to do this type of shit to you, I can't express enough how you just remain in your truth and never concede to a half truth or take any sort of deal that you know is not your truth. Point blank, period. So now I'm like this, okay, you have pushed me to the limit now with this because you can do whatever you want to me. You're not going to break me, but you're not going to use our child in any more ways that you think that you can to abuse the system. And now his girlfriend's putting her hands, and has been for a long time now, where he's now terrified and doesn't want to go to their house. And then he wants to play he doesn't know why. He's trying to get me to tell him why, because he knows why, but he doesn't know if he told me or not. Well, yeah, he most certainly did, because he knew that he could trust me, but he's coming to me for help. So what else am I supposed to do? Of course, I'm going to help my own flesh and blood, and I would help any child or anyone that came to me in that predicament. Yes, I most certainly would. So I just wanted to put this out there for you guys, because I'm sitting here outside waiting for this to go down. And anybody who has been contacting me, please understand I'm not ignoring you. I never in my life, I don't conduct business like that, first and foremost. But I needed to put this up for you guys because this is real life, okay? And I'm just like completely beside myself waiting. So I figured I would just put this up quickly. So you know that I love you guys. And as soon as this is sorted out today, I'll be in contact with everyone, okay? I love you. Bye.